What is up, guys? I'm just gonna say it really quickly right now that this is like my third or fourth take of just trying to kickstart this video the right way. I thought that it would be easier for me just to jump into talking about being 3 years sober, being 3 years alcohol free, and it is such a positive and amazing accomplishment for myself that I'm immensely proud of, and which is a big reason why I'm making this video. But in my previous takes, before getting to this take right now, I've struggled with where to start, where to kind of take the story, and to kind of put it all together so that it makes sense to you. And by making this video, I can feel some anxiety almost. For some reason, I thought that it would be easier to talk about this, but it's not that it's not easy to talk about. I guess it's just difficult trying to find the right way to like present all of this. And this is something that I'm currently working on in my life, is just being more vulnerable and being more open and honest about my feelings and my emotions and what I'm going through, what I've gone through, but knowing that it's part of my process, my healing process. And in doing that, I know that it also does help others, and that is so extremely fulfilling to me. And I know that it's important for me to share this. So where do I begin? As of the posting of this video that you're watching right now, I'm coming up on 3 years of being alcohol free on April 25th. And I have to tell you, first and foremost, that it feels so good. The positives of not drinking far outweigh any negatives, if there are any negatives. So my decision to stop drinking came at a point in my life where I realized that alcohol wasn't helping me. It wasn't helping my situation. I didn't start really heavily drinking until my late 20s. And it was when I was in my previous band called Drugs that drinking became a very normal, everyday thing, and it was with heavy consumption. And more than anything else, it made me extremely unhealthy. So I'm currently 38 years old. When I was 28 years old, I was in the most unhealthy place I've ever been in my life up to this day. I was almost 200 pounds. Which, keep in mind, I'm only 5'4", I'm a short guy, and I was obese. It was a really difficult time in my life, and I didn't even realize how bad it truly was. And when I look back on photos from that time in my life, it's sometimes really difficult for me to look at, because I can see just in my eyes how not even necessarily unhappy I am, but just how disassociated I am with myself and what I was going through in my emotions and my mental health. And it wasn't until 5-6 years ago that I just had a moment that I realized I was not in a healthy place. And I'm talking more so physically. Like I said, I was overweight and eating like utter garbage. So this is aside from just drinking and having that play a role in being unhealthy, it was the food I was eating too. There was a lot of days where I was eating fast food 3 times a day for my main meals, 3 times a day. And then drinking a bunch of beer and whatever else you would put in front of me. I was just in a really, really unhealthy place. And when I knew that I was going to marry my wife, before I was even going to propose, I said to myself that my life isn't just about me anymore, and I have to treat my body better to have a long, fulfilling, amazing life with somebody that I love. And that really kickstarted my journey of getting healthier. And so I started really understanding what it was that I was putting into my body and the pros and the cons of whatever it was that I was consuming. So I started really focusing on what I was eating, and then incorporating working out and doing HIIT workouts, and then getting to a really, really healthy place, getting to a place where I wasn't obese anymore. It was such an incredible feeling. And as I was cutting out shitty processed food and cutting back on my sugar consumption and slowly taking away these little things that weren't adding positivity to my physical health and to my mental health, I knew that at some point alcohol was going to be something that I would have to substantially cut back on or just cut out altogether. I also had to truly understand the effects of alcohol and what it does, not even just on a physical level, but what it does on a mental level. So understanding that no matter how you look at it, alcohol is a depressant. So if you're not in a good place in life, which is what I've struggled with through a majority of my 30s, is really being hit with all of these emotions and traumas that I had that I just swept under a rug for so long were all coming to the surface. And I wasn't even conscious or aware of all these things that were really bothering me and causing hindrances in my life, in my relationships with my band members, with my wife, with my family, but more importantly with myself. I knew that I wasn't in a good place. And like I said, if you're depressed and you consume alcohol, which is a depressant, the sum of that equation isn't positive. It's not good. And I wasn't being honest with myself. I wasn't being honest with where I was at emotionally. And so with me not being honest with myself, how could I be 100% honest and truthful for everyone else around me? So leading up to the decision to stop drinking, I was having really severe issues with my communication, but more so I was having issues with being honest with myself and where I was at mentally. And I wasn't in a good place. I was depressed. I was unhappy. I was in a darker place, but always just felt like I can just put on a happy face and stay positive. And you know what? To this day, to this moment right now, I am still working on that. I'm still understanding that about myself. Even at 38 years old, I am still learning to process my emotions a lot better. But within all of that suppression within myself, I was not only just hiding or not being honest about my drinking, I wasn't being honest with my emotions. I wasn't being honest with myself. And alcohol was not adding anything positive to that equation anymore. So cutting out the things in my life that were not adding anything positive to my situation, I knew I needed to cut out. It was a stark realization that the problem was much bigger than an alcohol issue. It was issues within my own being, like my own self, who I was, who I wasn't, and understanding the traumas of my life that triggered these unhealthy learned behaviors that I consciously and subconsciously was doing. I knew that I had to work on the relationship with myself, which subsequently also changed my relationship with alcohol and many other aspects of my life beyond alcohol. Cutting toxic people out of my life, limiting the time and energy that I put into situations that aren't conducive for me, that aren't positive for me. And in doing that, finding balance in my life. So the day I stopped drinking, I was in Australia on tour with Sirens, and there were many incidents leading up to that day where alcohol was becoming a part of the conversation as to why these specific incidents were happening in the first place. You know, really big blow-ups and arguments with people close to me and having these realizations that I was not in a good place. I wasn't facing or dealing with these personal issues whatsoever, and having alcohol in the mix was certainly not going to make my situation any better. It certainly wasn't going to help me understand what I was feeling or what I was going through. It was only making it worse. It was numbing. It was giving me that freedom to push things under the rug more and just keep on piling things under there. And you can only do that for so long until you've swept so many things under the rug that you just can't cover it up anymore. So I decided on that day in Australia that I wasn't going to drink that day. That was it. I just said, I don't think I should drink today. And that was all that I said. I didn't say I'm going to not drink for the rest of my life, or I'm not going to drink for a year or 3 years. It was a really simple baby step of just saying, you know what, today I'm just not going to drink. And then subsequently that turned into the second day of just saying, you know, I feel good today, I'm not going to drink. And then that turned into a week, which turned into a month, which, and now 3 years later, just making that decision that I just don't feel like drinking. And I always kind of crack a joke that I've drank enough for multiple lifetimes. I'm not missing out on anything anymore. It's not any different. And my mind and my body appreciate it so much that I'm not just consistently poisoning the hell out of my body on a daily basis. And with that, I was very fortunate that I didn't have alcohol withdrawals. I didn't have like the itch or actually feel physical withdrawals from alcohol. And I'm extremely fortunate and grateful that my band was completely understanding of my decision, and they didn't peer pressure me. They didn't try to make me feel bad for my decision. They were supportive of it. It's definitely taken time to rework some relationships in my life, including with them, and even more so with my wife Jenna, who was so immensely supportive. And she actually didn't even know that I had stopped drinking until I got home from tour. And I had said, yeah, I haven't had a drink at that point in like 2 weeks. And she just kind of looked at me like, oh, you stopped drinking. Okay. And she decided to not drink in solidarity of my decision. Now, she didn't have to do that, but I am so immensely grateful and thankful to her for doing that, because she didn't have to do that. And I truly do believe that that made my journey up until where I am today definitely a lot easier. Having that help and being surrounded by people that support your decisions, no matter what it is, any change you want to make in your life, if you have people in your life that don't support that aren't in your corner, it makes the process a hell of a lot more difficult, because then you have people that don't want you to succeed in what you're doing, and those aren't friends. And I highly recommend that you cut those people out of your life. It doesn't matter if it's family, friends, whoever it may be. If people don't support you in something that is positive for your life, then you should really evaluate why it is that you want to have people like that in your life in the first place. But I will tell you this, the clarity you get from not drinking is you can't even put it into words. I started really feeling that clarity the day that I stopped drinking. And then when a week went by, it was like a fog being lifted from my brain. You literally have clarity because you're not living your life through a substance. You're living it sobered. Your body is experiencing life in a completely different way when you completely cut something out of your life that you were habitually doing for days, months, years on end. And I was just understanding myself more, and I was feeling feelings. I wasn't blocking them out with alcohol, experiencing sadness and experiencing depression, but getting through that with a sober mind and not feeling like drinking would maybe help the situation or take the edge off, as they say. And that's a huge benefit from these 3 years of not drinking. The major benefit is just having clarity and feeling emotions and being 100% present as a human being. But let me tell you about the other benefit. And I'm about to blow your mind with this benefit of 3 years of no drinking. You save so much money. I'm gonna show you the screenshot of an app that I have on my phone that's been calculating how much money I've saved since I've stopped drinking. And 3 years into being sober, I have saved over $11,000. $11,000, guys. And I do want to put an asterisk on this, is I think it's actually more than that. I think that this is on the lower side of how much money I've saved. I would venture to guess it's probably well over $15,000. And the other obvious benefit is I'm healthier than ever. I'm 38 years old. And I'm currently in probably the best shape I've ever been in my life. And I can 100% tell you, I am healthier now than I was in my 20s. Yes, all of my 20s. I am healthier now at 38 years old. And I say this because it is never too late in your life to get healthy and to just change your life in a positive way. I've definitely heard a lot of people say, well, I'm this age and it's gonna be so much harder for me to get to this place or to get healthy or to stop drinking or to stop smoking, whatever it is never too late in your life to go down a positive path and to make better choices. I am living proof of that, literally living proof. This is the healthiest I've ever been in my life, and I'm only continuing still to work on that more. And let me tell you another great benefit to not drinking: no hangovers. Let me tell you, I actually might bump no hangovers even higher up on the benefits list, because that is one thing I do not miss whatsoever. I always say there's never been a moment where I've woken up in the last 3 years and said, man, I really wish I was hungover right now. That sounds great. Like, that sounds like a good time, is just being hungover. Never. I've never said it once, never thought that once. And also, as you get older, I will tell you, the hangovers last a lot longer. I remember some of my worst hangovers before I stopped drinking would last a day and a half. It was terrible. And I think back on how awful I felt, and I'm so grateful now that I'm not feeling that way, that I'm waking up clear-headed. I'm waking up in a better mental space, but also a better healthy space, and I'm not nursing a hangover all day. Instead, I'm waking up early and I'm going on a run. This past year, I decided to start running, and I was never a runner. I've never been a runner in my life, and now at 38 years old, I try to run multiple 5Ks a week. Like, my life is completely different now. But if I was hungover all the time, I guarantee you I would not be doing as much physical activity as I am now. Also, another benefit that I haven't mentioned is how life-changing it's been for me to be in therapy. Seeking out therapy almost 2 years ago now has definitely added so much more clarity to my journey and to my life. And I know that I can say without a doubt that if I was still drinking like I was, it would have been tougher for me to really be open to going down that path if I was still drinking. And I'm so fortunate that I've been in therapy. And it's something that I look forward to every single week of my life. And it's only added to the benefits of my journey. And it's something that I implore everybody to consider. Even if you think you don't need it, I guarantee that you would find benefits from doing it. And so I'll kind of end this video with kind of some advice from my end. I know it's such a cliche saying to some, but I really live by a motto of living one day at a time. Take one day at a time. And that goes with anything. That goes with if you're trying to cut back on alcohol or wanting to just get to a healthier place. One day at a time. It's just a lot easier to break this down into baby steps. And that's what I did on a subconscious level, was I just don't feel like drinking today. And then the next day, it was the same thing. I'm not gonna drink today. And 3 years later, still haven't had a drink. I think it would have been much more difficult for me if I said on that tour in Australia, I'm gonna go 3 years no drinking, starting right now, starting today. That would have put so much pressure on myself to commit to 3 years of doing something that I haven't even done for one day yet. So that is something that to really think about and understand and try to implement into your life is just take one day at a time. One day at a time. Like, today, I'm not gonna drink. Or today, I'm not gonna put any sugar in my coffee. Or today, I'm not gonna have fast food. Today, I'm gonna have a salad. It's today, today, today. Like, just think what you can do in the moment right now to make a better decision that benefits you tomorrow. I want to conclude this video by saying this is just my story. This is my journey, and I just want to share it with you. And I'm not saying that you should stop drinking the way that I did it, because the way that I did it doesn't mean that it works for you, that it works for other people. I'm just telling you what worked for me. And I highly suggest, if you're considering cutting substances or cutting back on things in your life, that you do the research. But more importantly, I just want to say that it's okay to outreach for help. It's okay to say, hey, I think that I need some help. You don't have to do it on your own. And doing something like this on your own, I can definitely see how that would feel really, really lonely. And I want you to know that you are not alone. And if you're watching this video and you feel like you're ready to make a change, I'm telling you, you can absolutely do it. Why? Because I am living proof of someone that is still continuing to do it. And it's not just alcohol in my life that I've that I've cut out. Like I said, I've cut out a lot of things. I'm still continuing to either cut out or cut back on things in my life that I know aren't good for me, that I know aren't adding something positive to my equation in this life. So with that, I'm sending all the love your way. If you're watching this video and you feel like you're in a place where you need help, I highly suggest reaching out and getting help. And I will include some links down below for anyone that feels like they want to take that next step but don't really know how to. Beyond just watching this video, I'm going to include some links down below to maybe help you and point you in the right direction. So with that, I thank you guys so much for watching this video. This is a different outlet for me, and it's definitely been immensely helpful in my journey with myself and what I'm going through, even outside of being alcohol free. And I'm going to continue to keep on working on myself and getting to a better place to be the best me that I can possibly be. And that's all I can do. That's what I'm going to stay focused on. So with that, thank you guys again so much for watching this video. Much love to you. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below and let's have a chat. Thank you guys again. Peace.